Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. We greet you on this, the 17th day of the month of Rabi'u Thani of the year 1445, which is the 30th day of October of 2023, from my Caribbean island home in Trinidad with Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And we want to turn now to the subject of the oppressed and the oppressor, the oppressor and the oppressed. What happens when the oppressor wages war on the oppressed? The government of Israel has declared this is war. So what does the Quran say about such a subject? And we turn to Surah Al-Hajj of the Quran in this video entitled The Oppressor and the Oppressed, No Equivalence. And in Surah Al-Hajj, Allah speaks of precisely such a situation when the oppressor is waging war on the oppressed. And he says, بَعْدَ أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ, he says, أُذِنَ لِلَّذِينَ يُقَاتَلُونَ بِأَنَّهُمْ ظُلِمُوا. Permission is granted to the oppressed to resist the oppressor in war because they have been wrong. This is oppression, this is unjust. But then he goes on to say, وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ عَلَى نَصْرِهِمْ لَقَدِيرٌ, that Allah is capable of intervening in such a war to give help to the oppressed. So if Allah is on the side of the oppressed in a war between the oppressor and the oppressed, there is no equivalence between the two. There is no moral equivalence, there is no spiritual equivalence, and therefore there can be no legal equivalence in such a war. What the oppressor does is he seeks to demonize the oppressed. And so Donald Trump blows his trumpet about their savagery. So he considers them to be savages. And the chief of staff of the Israeli armed forces declares that they are, what did he say? They were animals. This is the demonization of the oppressed by the oppressor. So Allah gives them the right to resist by any means necessary, as Malcolm X would say. Whatever means they have. Yesterday in Palestine, do you remember? In the Holy Land, they had only stones in their hands. And they will be throwing the stones at an Israeli tank. Do you remember that? It's not going to remain like that all the time, Israel. No. Yesterday, the Israelites had the stones. David, Nabi Daud alayhi salam, and he had a stone, and with that stone he struck Goliath on his forehead, and Goliath fell unconscious, and he went and he killed him. But today the stones are not with you. The stones are with the Palestinian Muslims and Christians. And so history is repeating itself, but you are now on the wrong side of history. And I am explaining to this subject to my people who have not been studying the Quran. And so now here we are, Surah Al-Hajj. Who are those who have been oppressed and wronged? الَّذِينَ أُخْرِجُوا مِنْ دِيَارِهِمْ بِغَيْرِ حَقٍّ. People who have been driven out of their homes wrongfully, unjustly. I traveled to Argentina. I met so many Palestinians there, refugees. I traveled several times to Brazil. I see so many Palestinians there, refugees. I traveled to my neighbor Venezuela so many times. Venezuela is just next door to Trinidad. So many Palestinians there in Venezuela. And they are in refugee camps in Lebanon and in other places. Generations now, these people are living as refugees. And Allah says they are a people who have been wronged, unjustly driven out of their homes. They have to flee from their homes. As the Israeli armed forces told those in northern Gaza, get out of your homes, flee from your homes, we're coming. This is the arrogance of a people who are disdained. Their destiny is to be divinely destroyed. Allah himself will destroy him.